Part 117. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Dowby in the World. Chapter 1161. Chapter 1161. Suspect Little Mickey is his son. 5. Little Mickey, you can't say this. Your mommy is my wife, so you are also mine. Tanyuj had already linked his position to Mickey's father. Before the father and son recognized each other, Tanyuj had already assumed the role of father. Unexpectedly, not only did little Mickey not feel happy, he suddenly became furious and glared at Tanyuj with a vivid expression, waving his little paws to fight with Tanyuj. You can dream. It will be more realistic when you go home and sleep now. Who is yours? Not only am I not yours, my mother is not yours either. You are my son, of course you are mine instead. Tanyuj ignored the fuzzy look of little Mickey and teased the little baby Mickey with a smile. When he quarreled with the little guy, he was in a particularly happy mood. Little Mickey's face turned red, and his fist hit Tanyuj's chest without hesitation. But the little guy is only so big, how strong can he be? Tanyuj didn't feel anything when he was hit. He was arguing hard and resisting being given the title of son by Tanyuj. Did you say that I am your son and I am your son? Funny, this sounds so funny. Not all children are easy to coax. Anyway, little Mickey is a child who is not easy to coax. You little brat, are you talking to your father like this? Tanyuj was also furious. This little brat didn't look like a 2 or 3-year-old child, and he kept talking back to his father. You are not my father. I will not recognize you. My mother can only be mine. Don't even think about getting my mommy. Even if you are better, I will break you up. Little Mickey gritted his teeth and said, no matter what, Mom, the mother can only be his, other men should not think about his mother. At this moment, little Mickey has no idea that Tanyuj is his father. He still wants to stay in jail and wait for his biological father to find them and reunite their family. All men who are interested in Jianyuman will be driven away by him, but he is not good enough. Mommy will choose other men instead of his precious son. Little Mickey had a good idea, but he never realized that the person in front of him was his father. Ever since he met Suwarong, he thought Suwarong was his father. Although Suwarong said otherwise, the little guy thought that Suwarong was his father after seeing Suwarong's cool military posture for the second time, and after he and a group of soldiers led people to rescue Chao Xiaofeng. I don't know, little Mickey is just his son. You little guy, you actually want your parents to separate, you are so stupid. Tanyuj was furious, and stretched out his hand to grab the little guy's collar. He saw the little guy kept waving his hands and wanted to rush over to fight, but unfortunately his hands were short. His legs were short and he didn't even have much strength. He could only wave his claws but couldn't cause any harm to Tanyuj. You bastard, if you continue to bully me, my mother and your friends will not be able to do anything. You boy. How is it? Little Mickey raised his little head arrogantly and asked Tanyuj arrogantly. Wait, you can call me daddy tomorrow. Tomorrow? Let me ask you, are you and my mommy now married? No. Is this a relationship between boyfriend and girlfriend? Nor. Look, it's nothing. Why do you say I'm your son? Why do you have the confidence to let me call you daddy? The cheating son Mickey, a series of cultures, made his biological father want to vomit blood. End of this chapter. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Dowby in the World. Chapter 1162. Chapter 1162. Manman is in danger. 1. The father's son Xiao Mickey, a series of issues, spit blood for his biological dad. How could Tanyuj have such a difficult son? Children from other families wish their parents could live together, but this kid actually wants to occupy Jianyuman and wreak havoc. Looking at the interaction between little Mickey and Tanyuj, Secretary Zhang in front of him rolled his eyes with laughter and had to stop the car and start laughing. He didn't expect that boss's son would be so cute, and neither of them would let the other go. The boss, who is almost 30 years old, actually quarreled with little Mickey, and he would not let little Mickey get away from it. The two of them had a heated argument over a simple issue, but they forgot what they were arguing about. The point was not whether they agreed or not. The most important thing is Jianyuman. She didn't even say a word, but they were arguing like this. Is it interesting? But seeing how happy they were noisy, he just watched the show quietly. Jianyuman left the hospital and drove to Tanyu's home alone. Her son was already in Tanyu's hands, and she realized something, a problem that Tanyuj would have discovered without her taking the initiative. He also knew in his heart that Tanyuj probably already knew that little Mickey was his son, so he took her to find them now and confess the matter. She was not afraid when her son's existence was discovered. She had already prepared in her heart that her son would be discovered, but now it was just too early. Besides, she has a child in her belly now. Jianyuman was driving, not very fast, and she was concentrating on driving. While driving, she found that there seemed to be a car following her. Did Mr. Tang arrange it? Why haven't I heard about it? Jianyuman thought doubtfully. Tanyuj did arrange for someone to protect Jianyuman secretly, but Jianyuman didn't say he saw it. At this moment, a car suddenly passed Jianyuman and drove in front of her. When a car suddenly stopped in front of her, Jianyuman didn't feel anything. It wasn't until a car appeared next to her that she realized something was wrong. She was attacked from both sides. I'm not Mr. Tang's person. Jianyuman's face turned dark, and she slowly pulled over to the side under the attack of a bunch of cars. When Jianyuman stopped the car, the bodyguards who were not far away to protect Jianyuman also rushed over quickly, sandwiching Jianyuman in the middle. Many people got out of the car, and some of them were already heading towards Tanyuj. The men sent to protect him rushed forward. Jianyuman held the steering wheel tightly with both hands and looked at the people surrounding her outside the car. Most of these people were black. They were all tall and had evil spirits on their bodies. No one was easy to mess with, so she immediately I understand that I am in trouble. These people are not Tanyuj's manpower at all. Jianyuman was a little scared and immediately took out her mobile phone from her bag. With trembling hands, she wanted to call Tanyuj for help. The people outside the door saw Jianyuman's actions and took out a baseball bat and waved it. These black people were threatening Jianyuman outside. If she dared to make a phone call, she would be dead. Some people were even ready to break the car window, forcing her to come out. Jianyuman was so frightened that her hands shook and she dropped her cell phone to the ground. She looked at the horrified expressions of the people outside, weighed her options, and finally slowly opened the car door and walked out. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Dalby in the World. Chapter 1163. Chapter 1163 Manman is in danger too. The group of people took baseball bats and started to hit the car windows, trying to force Jianyuman out of the car. This moment was so terrifying that Jianyuman's hands shook in fright and her phone fell to the ground. She turned her head stiffly and looked at the group of people outside with a horrified expression. She looked down at the mobile phone that had fallen on the car and wanted to bend down to pick it up. The black man once again hit the car window with a baseball bat. Not like this. The car itself is bulletproof, and it would have been broken into pieces after being hit like this by the group of people outside. Although I haven't seen it yet, it's not far from the point of being broken. These people are not easy to mess with at all. They look really scary. Jianyuman has never encountered such stuff before and was so scared that he trembled all over. Who are these people? She didn't offend anyone? Could it be Seeing Eleven's family? But even if he was looking for trouble, it shouldn't be on her. She didn't dare to bend down to pick up the phone. She looked at the crowd of people gathering around her, weighed her options, and finally slowly opened the car door and walked out. She had no choice. The people outside looked fierce and terrifying. When she opened the car door, her feet were a little weak because she was scared. "Brothers, what are you doing?" Tianyuman asked in fluent English. One of the black men waved his hand, and another black man grabbed her hands and successfully subdued her. "What do you want to do?" Tianyuman was really scared. Her voice trembled and almost broke when she spoke. She wanted to turn around and run away. "Miss Jian, our boss wants to invite you to our place as a guest. It's better if you don't act rashly," the black man sneered and turned to look at the place where he got off the car. Tianyuman did not resist and was escorted over obediently. It's useless for her to resist now. She won't get any benefits from resisting, and she might get beaten up severely, so she is very good. Just now I noticed that several people were fighting with the black men. Those people must be Tanyuj's people. Tanyuj must have known that she was surrounded by bad guys. The only thing she can do now is to protect herself from getting hurt. Tianyuman was taken away. After returning home and putting little Mickey to sleep, Tanyuj was reading in the room. While reading, he could never calm down. He tried to calm down several times but failed, and finally put away the book and did other things. But no matter what he did, there was always an uneasy feeling in his heart, and he always felt that something was going to happen. At this moment, Tanyuj received a call. "Mr. Tang, what's wrong?" Miss Jian was attacked by a group of people with bad intentions when they made the call. The bodyguards had not parked their cars yet. After discovering that something was wrong with the group of people, they took the lead to call and report. "Are you coming with bad intentions?" After hearing this, Tanyuj's eyes narrowed dangerously. "Protect Miss Jian." Tanyuj hung up the phone and immediately called his two friends Lan Tianlu and Chang Junyi. The imperial capital was not his territory, and he did not have as many manpower and connections as his two friends, so he did not hesitate to call his friends. No matter who it is, kidnapping his woman in the imperial capital, there is no way for them to come back. The murderous look in Tanyuj's eyes was unmistakable. Anyone who looked at him would tremble. If someone was in front of him, they might even faint from fear. This is Tanyuj's rare expression of terror. Although he usually smiles and looks harmless to humans and animals, he will not be lenient at all when he becomes fierce. End of this chapter. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 1164. Chapter 1164 Manman is in danger 3. At that time, he knew that Wang Tianyu's father was not a good person because of his tactics. After he called Lan Tianlu's wife Xiaoling to come over and help take care of little Mickey, he drove fast and rushed to where Tianyuman was. The kidnapped Tianyuman was helped with both hands and looked at these people with vigilance. What was the purpose of these people? Where to take her? "Brother, the girls in the back are quite pretty," the black man in the driver's seat said to the kidnapping leader next to him in the language of a certain African country. "It's not just a bit pretty, it's simply stunning." The black man turned around and looked at Tianyuman and Tianyuman with a somewhat explicit look. Tianyuman heard their conversation and frowned. Unfortunately, she knows a lot of languages, and is proficient in 6 of them. This does not include some simple languages. But the national language they speak is also one of the languages she is proficient in. So she understood the content of these people's conversations, and at the same time, it made her shrink back in fear. "Brother, do you think our boss will give this to us to play with?" The black man in the driver's seat showed a lewd expression. "Anyway, the purpose of today is to teach this a lesson. It does allow me to play with this bitch. How about our brothers?" The black man in the passenger seat, who was called eldest brother, heard what the second brother said. The evil eyes are not hidden at all. I'll kill you. How dare you, Qian Yuman suddenly spoke. Hearing that they were going to do that kind of thing to her, Qian Yuman didn't know where to find the courage to yell back. Oh! Brother, these can say what we say, the two black men laughed immediately. Their evil thoughts were not bad at all, and they clearly expressed what they wanted to do to Qian Yuman, with revealing eyes. Qian Yuman felt as if she was standing in front of these two men without any clothes on. Just the look in their eyes made Qian Yuman feel bad about herself. What should I do? They are not really going to me. Who sent these people? Who sent you here? Don't you know that I know a lot of powerful people? I also know Master Xiang from the Eastern group. I know even more people. You don't care who you are with. If you touch even one of my fingers, I will let you know what life is worse than death, Qian Yuman said threatening words. She knew in her heart that these people just wanted to teach her a lesson, not her life. Thinking about the people I know, many of them are either rich or noble, and I have more confidence. Are we afraid? You bitch, after you are well taken care of by our brothers, you will be obedient to us. When you enjoy the glory of us black people, I'm afraid you won't be able to leave us, the black eldest brother said, making people sad. If he does evil, he may even speak in a pornographic tone and say a lot of obscene things. How dare you? Don't you want to die? Qian Yuman realized that these people were serious and really wanted to her. They were not talking about it at all, and they were not afraid of her threat at all. Don't take it to heart. Ha ha ha. Once we kill you, after you won't have a heartbeat to worry about our brothers. These people are not afraid at all. It can even be said that they are not afraid of death. They know Qian Yuman's background clearly and are not afraid of what Qian Yuman's people will do to them. The focus is to complete the orders given by the boss. End of this chapter. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 1165. Chapter 1165. Manman is in danger. 4. She was shocked that black people were not afraid of Qian Yuman's threats. She even named Dongfang Xiang, who was feared in the underworld, but she didn't expect these people to be so cruel and not afraid of the people she mentioned. These people are really going to do something to themselves. What to do? What to do? Mr. Tang, come and save me. Qian Yuman can only pray in her heart that Tangyuj can send someone quickly. Tangyuj has indeed sent someone on the way. Tangyuj's people who protected Qian Yuman were knocked down and fainted. There are too many enemies. These 3 or 4 people can't stand it. He couldn't defeat more than a dozen people, and the skills of these people were not weaker than Tangyuj's bodyguards. These bodyguards of Tangyuj were all trained by his good friend Chang Junyi. Each of them can fight 1 against 3, and even 1 against 4. And the level of this group of black people was actually about the same as the bodyguards sent by Tangyuj. After a series of battles, they were all knocked to the ground and did not pursue Qian Yuman. Qian Yuman was trembling with fear. She also noticed that the people sent by Tangyuj did not follow her, and her heart felt like a stone falling into the sea. Is she really finished today? Being given to this group of black people in front of me. The car drove quickly on the road, then drove onto a small road, and drove around the small road for a while, until it arrived at a chaotic and relatively chaotic place in the imperial capital. Looking at the surrounding environment, Qian Yuman's eyes were red, and tears were hanging in her eyes, and they were about to fall down at any time. The car was parked in a large factory. From the outside, it looked no different from other factories. Once inside, you found that there was something different inside. It was an empty factory. There were also a group of yellow people inside, all of whom were wearing uniforms. It's simple. At first glance, he looks like a gangster. Qian Yuman was roughly escorted from the car. No matter how hard she struggled, it was of no use. Qian Yuman was already desperate. She didn't dare to think carefully about what would happen next. She would have looked at the almanac when she went out today. Yesterday Xiaofeng had an accident, and today it was her turn to have an accident. The two sisters were not in a good position to do anything. The important thing was that they should not go out. If they had known it, they would have stayed in the hospital with Xiaofeng. If she had known that she would be kidnapped by kidnappers and would be defiled by a group of men when she went out today, even if she was given 10 million, she would still hold onto the railing of the hospital bed if not 100 million. Walk faster, the black man pushed Qian Yuman impatiently. Even though Qian Yuman was unwilling to leave, he still couldn't fight them. Qian Yuman was pushed into a dark room. There was only a bed and a table in the room. There was nothing else and no light could come in. 3 or 4 men came in shortly after, some were black, some were white, and some were yellow with the same skin color as hers. The expressions on their faces made her evil, and their eyes were even more bold and explicit. "Brother, do you really want to give us brothers a discount today?" Of course, everyone should share the good things together. "Brother, do you want condoms?" At this time, a white man handed over a stack of condoms. "Whatever condom you want, just put it on." "How can such a beauty feel comfortable wearing a condom? It's none of our business even if she gets pregnant." "That's right, if you feel uncomfortable, let's go straight ahead." The blacks yelled and attacked in groups. The blacks and whites took off their clothes and pants, and another one swooped over. "Wait a minute," Qian Yuman shouted anxiously, still struggling. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 1166. Chapter 1166. Manman is in danger. 5. "Wait a minute," Qian Yuman shouted anxiously, still struggling. "What are you waiting for?" the black man said impatiently. Qian Yuman stammered and tried hard to delay time. She didn't know when Tangyuj would come over, but she didn't want to be ruined like this. That would be more painful than living. "I know that today will definitely be ruined by you. He has already accepted his fate. But don't you remember that it's not fun to force me? I am still very proficient in bed skills. Don't you want to have more fun? My husband likes this aspect of me. I have the ability." Qian Yuman already had a charming face, and now she deliberately made a seductive posture and winked at several men. How could a few men stand the temptation of such a beautiful woman? Their hearts suddenly agitated. "You're pretty sensible." The black man's face showed a pleased expression, and his hands began to unbuckle his belt. "Wait," Qian Yuman shouted coquettishly, simply waiting, which made the black man's body crawl with goosebumps. "I'm not used to a group of people. Why don't we come one by one? You 3 look so strong. I can't stand 3 people at once." The 3 of them looked at each other and said impatiently, "What do you want? You 2 go out first, he and I will come first." Qian Yuman pointed at the thinnest yellow man and said, "You bitch, are you up to something?" The black man was unhappy. "Brother, what can I do? I have been captured by you and taken to the base camp. What do you want from me? It only takes a few minutes. Even if my family knows that something is wrong with me, it will be too late to save me. I have seen through this and I want to enjoy it, don't you think so? Besides, this guy's abs are so strong, how can I, a weak woman, be treated like this?" Qian Yuman sighed helplessly, acting weak. It is true that any person in front of him can make Qian Yuman miserable, and such a rhythm of resistance is useless. The 3 of them looked at each other, and after a final consideration in their minds, they really agreed. A few other people went out, and Qian Yuman went to lock the door and close it, leaving the yellow man who had almost taken off his clothes. Why are you locking me up? You don't want to do anything, do you? The yellow man said warily, looking at Jian Yuman with an investigation in his eyes, but he saw her charming smile. What else can I do? I'm in your hands. Of course I will serve you well. I just closed the door to avoid being disturbed. Jian Yuman smiled coquettishly, and her every move was very seductive, making the other person look at her. My eyes were straight. He has never had a bad fight with such a character. This time he was picked first, so he was not too happy. Jian Yuman looked at the other party with a sense of cynicism in his heart. Just laugh. Do you think this ant is really going to be by you? Dream on. Even if I die, I don't want to be tainted by a man other than Tang Yuj. How could she, Jian Yuman, be bullied by him casually? She must protect herself well before waiting for Tang Yuj's rescue. Jian Yuman slowly walked over, suddenly spread her hands, turned around and rushed to the other party. The other party also noticed that something was wrong with this girl, and immediately took the initiative to quickly resist. Unexpectedly, Jian Yuman pushed him against the wall with one move, took out a lighter-shaped electric shock stick from her pants pocket, and quickly struck him in the abdomen. End of this chapter. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 1167. Chapter 1167 Manman is in danger 6. Jian Yuman slowly walked over, suddenly spread her hands, turned around and rushed to the other party. The other party also noticed that something was wrong with this girl, and immediately took the initiative to quickly resist. Unexpectedly, Jian Yuman pushed him against the wall with one move, took out a lighter-shaped stun wand from her pants pocket, and quickly struck him in the abdomen. Having no idea that Jian Yuman had a special anti-wolf stun stick on him, he fainted on the bed soon after. Jian Yuman walked over, stretched out her foot and kicked him several times to make sure he fainted, and then he breathed a sigh of relief. You must have fainted. It was so thrilling just now, I almost got eaten. Jian Yuman underestimated a few words in a low voice. She just pretended to be very scared and timid, so these people took her words seriously. As a beautiful woman, Jian Yuman often encountered perverts teasing her. Her sister taught her a few ways to deal with perverts before, and today she was saved a small life. She also knows that only a few tricks are not 100% effective against perverts, so she always carries an anti-wolf stick that looks like a lighter in her pocket. She had this idea in her mind from just now, and she persuaded the bad guy in a good voice. Only the opportunity to be alone can be effective. It is not the time for her to feel relieved now. She is only taking the first step. She is not completely out of danger yet. She has to work hard to buy time. Looking at the fainted villain on the ground, Jian Yuman took a deep breath, knowing that she didn't have much time and had to react, otherwise people outside would become suspicious, and there was no sound from the inside. Jian Yuman sat on the bed, opened her mouth and screamed. Just now, Jian Yuman deliberately memorized the voice and intonation of yellow people. Jian Yuman, who almost ran to become a voice actor, deliberately imitated the speech of yellow people. Little beauty, what shall we play next? What are you playing with? Then you have to listen to me. Jian Yuman changed her voice again and turned into a normal female voice. Then it's up to you. The conversation ended, and Jian Yuman kept making ambiguous sounds from her little mouth. I recall that when Jian Yuman and Tang Yuj reunited again, Jian Yuman brought Tang Yuj to the Dao Hotel. In order to defraud him out of 1 million, Jian Yuman put on a show and deliberately made Zhu Shaowai outside misunderstand what was going on inside. Jian Yuman really found a random otaku to have with. The baby was born in the blink of an eye, and Tang Yuj had experienced so much. This time, after 3 years, the same old tricks were repeated, and Jian Yuman performed another bad act. Call. Just last time it was for money, this time Jian Yuman was doing it to delay time. This time things were even more thrilling. Her heart was hanging in the air. Although she screamed very vigorously, she was still afraid that these gangsters would sense something was wrong and actually rush in. "Mr. Tang, you have to come quickly." How long can she perform? Now she can only try to delay it. The blacks and whites outside the door looked at each other with ambiguous smiles on their faces. "I didn't expect the third child to enjoy it so much," he screamed so comfortably. "Originally I wanted to go together, but it's much more interesting to have the delicate Jianyuman serve us than to be with a group of people. Even though she is a gangster, her husband is still Tangyuj, and in the end he still has to surrender for us. You still have to serve us, it feels so good to be served by a queen." End of this chapter. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 1168. Chapter 1168 Manman is in danger 7. Originally I wanted to get together, but the feeling of having the delicate Jianyuman serve us is much more interesting than being with a group of people. Even though she is a gangster, her husband is still Tangyuj. In the end, she will surrender after we give birth, and to serve us, it feels so good to be served by a queen. I don't know how long the third child can hold on. I remember it was only about 10 minutes. I can't wait for us two to go in now. The two hooligans outside were talking more and more obscenely. It was a great pleasure to listen to Jianyuman screaming for bed outside. Jianyuman here is trying hard to delay, and the entire imperial capital, after the commotion in the city yesterday, exploded today. The entire imperial capital, whether gangster or white, even the army was mobilized. Now that everyone walks out on the streets, they can see many police cars and troops looking for something. The sight of soldiers everywhere makes everyone in the entire imperial capital panic. Tangyuj's manpower was also dispatched, asking Lan Tianlu to handle the matter. Helicopters, military vehicles, troops, etc. were all dispatched. As an arms dealer, Chang Junyi naturally spared no effort and began to search everywhere. In just 10 minutes, the entire imperial capital exploded. Everyone was panicked and didn't know what was going on. It's just that these people are looking for someone, and no one knows what they are looking for. Tangyuj was also very angry, and his brows were furrowed as high as the sky. At this moment, Tangyuj received a call. "Hello? Tangyuj. I'm Kenny," Kenny shouted anxiously. Tangyuj was also a little impatient when he received Kenny's call. "What's matter?" He also guessed that Kenny had received a call about Jianyuman's accident, but he was not in the mood to talk nonsense with him. "I know the specific location of Xiaodaobi. I will send you the address right away." Kenny is also very excited. He is still in Paris and wishes he could fly over and handle this matter personally. "What, you know, where?" Kenny immediately told Jianyuman's location, and Tangyuj immediately rushed there. Then someone asked why he knew the specific address in Paris. Kenny didn't hide anything and told why he knew where Jianyuman was. It turns out that Kenny gave Jianyuman a bracelet with a positioning system installed on it. He gave it just in case. Normally, he would not pay attention to where Jianyuman was. He would only use it in times of danger. I didn't expect that such a day would come. Kenny was also sad that he was not in the imperial capital. He was angry that he was very busy with work during this period and could not save his beloved woman in person. Tangyuj hurried over quickly, not caring that the bracelet Kenny sent had a positioning system. At this moment, he was grateful to Kenny for having such an idea, and at the same time he realized that he had not thought of it. Why didn't he do the same thing as Kenny at the beginning? Otherwise, he wouldn't have to wait until the news reached Kenny to know where Jianyuman was. The rescue time was wasted for more than 10 minutes, and I don't know how Jianer is doing now. On Jianyuman's side, Jianyuman, whose throat was almost hoarse from shouting, kept shouting. Even though he was tired from shouting, he still kept shouting. The white man outside the door frowned. "Brother, don't you think something's wrong? I've been screaming for 16 minutes. The third child can't have more than 15 minutes. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Dowby in the World. Chapter 1169. Chapter 1169 Mr. Tang's heroic rescue of the beauty one. Has it been 16 minutes already? The brother frowned and walked forward quickly. No matter whether the third child was particularly strong today or there was something wrong, he would step forward to investigate. "Third brother, open the door quickly." The black man banged the door hard and shouted. Qian Yuman, whose throat was hoarse from screaming inside, suddenly jumped up from the bed and looked outside the door nervously. The sound of screaming in bed also stopped, and she looked outside the door in horror. "Oops, we won't be discovered. It's only been 10 minutes now, but a powerful person can do it for 20 or 30 minutes. Qian Yuman was nervous again now. She looked around nervously, not knowing what to do. The people on the ground were still dazed, and the door was banged hard. It was impossible for her to imitate the fainted yellow man's speech. She could deceive others with her slightest cry, but the tone of her speech were so different that people familiar with her would know the difference as soon as they heard it. "It's over. Are we really going to suffer this time? Mr. Tang, why haven't you shown up yet?" Qian Yuman murmured softly. She walked to the door, waiting for an opportunity. The black brother outside the door banged the door hard, but no one said anything, and even the screams stopped. I knew in my heart that something was wrong, and there must be something unexpected inside. The black man no longer hesitated, took a step back, and quickly rushed towards the door. At the moment of the collision, the black man also rushed in. Qian Yuman, who was waiting for an opportunity by the door, took this opportunity and ran out quickly. The white man who followed him did not expect that Qian Yuman would rush out and wait. When she saw it, Qian Yuman had already run around him and ran out. The black man looked at the situation in the room and found the unconscious Lao San. "Damn bitches, you actually tricked me!" the black man roared angrily, and followed the figure of the white man chasing him out. Qian Yuman ran wildly, and behind him were villains more terrifying than jackals, tigers, and leopards. Not long after running, Qian Yuman saw 2 or 3 of his accomplices passing by. The accomplices saw this and chased after them. Relying on her memory, Qian Yuman ran to the factory where she came in. There were people playing cards in 2s and 3s, and there were also people with pistols in their hands. There were at least 20 people. They are going to die, so many people. How to run? Just as Qian Yuman thought, there were too many people and there was no way to retreat. In the end, she was caught by this group of people, and 30 people escorted her back to her original place. This time they will not let this girl go, and they will not be coaxed into being stunned and around to see if she still has the energy to struggle. "Brother, no, we've been discovered!" the black men on guard shouted. The black man's face darkened. He ran to the crack in the door and looked out. His face was even darker than before. The people outside the door are Tangyuj and others who have rushed over. The surrounding area has been completely surrounded. There are helicopters in the sky and military vehicles on the ground. At first glance, it seems that at least 1,000 people have been dispatched. The horrific situation was so shocking that people who didn't know it thought there was going to be a war, or that there were terrorists nearby, so the country sent a large number of people to encircle and suppress the situation. "Mr. Tang is here," Qian Yuman smiled happily. Because she had shouted for too long, her voice was a little hoarse at the moment, but it did not prevent her from spreading her joy. "You should let me go. I can still ask my husband to spare your lives." Tangyuj stepped out of the car outside the door, his eyes filled with terrifying murderous intent, his face as cold as ice, and he waved his hand. "Let me attack it. I can't stand it any longer. I'm so sleepy that I won't write any more. Your Majesty should get rid of the habit of typing in the early hours of the morning." End of this chapter. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Douby in the World. Chapter 1170. Chapter 1170 Mr. Tang's heroic rescue of the Beauty 2. Tanyuj stepped out of the car outside the door, his eyes filled with terrifying murderous intent, his face as cold as ice, and he waved his hand. "Let me attack it?" Yes, all the bodyguards, soldiers, mercenaries, and others who surrounded this place shouted in unison. The simple word was full of momentum, as if there was a battle about to be fought. The people in the factory were all a group of bad guys with heinous crimes, waiting. They come to punish. The team cooperated tacitly and moved forward in an orderly manner. The sound of their feet hitting the ground made a terrifying sound. Tanyuj's group of people was really terrifying. Facing the kidnappers who kidnapped Jianyuman, in just 20 minutes, the people gathered at the scene were more terrifying than the National Army. After all, some of the troops brought by Su Warong were also included. They just asked friends to add their own manpower to Tanyuj, and Su Warong's army became supporting roles. "Brother, there are too many people," the man on guard shouted with a change of expression. Looking at the black man who was surrounded by heads outside, his face was as dark as the bottom of a pot. Under his calm appearance, fear flashed in his eyes. He also didn't expect that Tanyuj's men and horses would actually gather at the door. Thousands of enemies, compared with their team of only 20 or 30 people, were simply hitting an egg against a stone, leaving no room for resistance. What's going on? How did they find this place? It's obvious that their manpower didn't catch up with them at all. The black boss's face was ugly, and his terrifying eyes swept over his subordinates. He suspected that there was a traitor. They said that the hiding place was extremely secretive, and their escape route was designed to avoid all roadside cameras, and they drove in after making sure that no one was following them. After planning this series, even if Tanyuj's connections are unparalleled in the imperial capital, they will definitely not be found in a short time. Even if they are found, Jianyuman will have been defiled and run away. They have 2 or 3 hours to escape, so they are not worried that something will happen today. Unexpectedly, he was discovered in the end, and less than half an hour after Jianyuman was kidnapped, he was found by Tanyuj's people. It seems that either there is an undercover agent on their side, or they underestimated Tanyuj's ability. "Brother, what should we do now? There are too many people outside, and we can't get through at all. Now it seems that we can only implement Plan B." The black man tried his best to calm down, and his tone was ice cold, but only he knew that he was very afraid of the team in front of him. If things are not handled properly today, he will die. The black eldest brother looked at the second one. The second one nodded and immediately grabbed Jianyuman's arm and put a knife on Jianyuman's neck. Everyone put on black masks on their faces at the same time. The black boss also held a knife in his hand. With a loudspeaker. There was a violent banging on the door, and several boys immediately went to open the door. "People outside, listen, don't act rashly. This woman is in our hands. If you want to cause chaos, kill this woman. At worst, everything will be destroyed." The black brother used a loudspeaker to spread his words. Hearing the black man's words, everything that was wrong outside stopped. Thousands of pairs of eyes outside were staring at the black man and the white man holding Jianyuman's dick. "Damn it," Tanyuj shouted angrily, walked quickly to the front, and looked at the saber on Jianyuman's neck with cold eyes. The sharp saber cut through Jianyuman's neck, drawing a trace of blood, which made Tanyuj even angrier. End of this chapter.